Charles, what's happening, man?
Oh man, it's been a week.
You know, it's the first time that we've come to you, family, where we're in the same location. So we are actually at the office in the same location, and we have a special guest here, Jackson Carter. Say hello to the people.
Hello.
So, Charles, we always say the same thing. What a week.
What a week.
So why don't you just give us a quick synopsis of the week from your perspective, from your vantage point?
Oh, let's see. Well, Jackson Carter did good on his spelling test, right? Yeah. Joe Biden is rocking along really strongly with the COVID relief package. As a matter of fact, he's targeting July 4th as how families come together. So that's a big change.
That is a big change.
And I think people will be pleasantly surprised to find out over time everything that's in the bill.
You know what? I'm glad you brought that up, because anytime you got a bill that size, $1.9 trillion, there's a lot of stuff in that bill.
Mm-hmm.
So we don't have time to break down everything in the bill. The bill is 625 pages, but some of the highlights are some of the things that you know that you've seen in the bill that most people probably wouldn't think that are in there.
Well, we'll start with the obvious. $1,400 checks are going out starting this weekend.
Now, let's talk about that. There were some concessions in order to get that done that they had to make. And so I think the criteria changed a little bit in terms of who qualified.
Yeah, slightly.
But I think if your household income is $150,000 or below, you qualify.
$75,000 for an individual, $150,000 for a family.
Mm-hmm.
And then you have the big thing that I'm excited about is the child tax credits. That's up to $3,600.
Oh wow! From what was it before? Like 20.
Before it was out. Yeah. I mean, now it's going to be coming. That'll be coming in monthly installments, I believe.
Oh really?
Yeah. So it's a little bit different.
Oh.
Then the $28 billion that they're targeting to the restaurant and hospitality industry, which incidentally, Senator Roger Wicker from the great state of Mississippi was out trumpeting how great that's going to be for Mississippi restaurants.
Interesting.
But he voted against it.
Interesting.
And then, what's even more interesting is profiles in courage. Roger Wicker was actually working really hard when President Trump was in office to get that same $28 billion for the restaurant and hospitality business. And then he turns around and votes against it.
Well, I remember that. But so you got to understand, it's only good if they're the authors of it.
Yeah.
So, the optics were not favorable for him right now.
Mm-hmm.
You leaving us, Jack? Especially, all right, say now.
Say bye.
Jack said he out. He said he had enough politics talk for the day. Pull it back towards you.
Cool.
There you go.
All right. We'll see.
So when we think about that, though, the optics were not good right now for him because it wasn't a bill that Trump authored. So even though he's really happy about it, he's not happy that he wasn't the one behind it.
Here's the problem that the Republicans are going to have with that. 75% of the American public are on board with the new law.
Yes.
Because it provides direct stimulus, indirect stimulus, money for the economy, money for schools, money for Amtrak, you name it, money for the arts.
Yeah.
Most museums have been closed for a solid year.
Right.
So this will help boost the economy in 10, 12 different ways.
Not to mention, it also includes mechanisms along with resources, financial and non-financial, for the vaccines to get in the arms of people that want them.
Oh yeah, it's a continuation to make sure that the vaccination program actually gets that last mile covered really, really well, so that you not only have the doses, you have it going in arms.
Yeah, and now there was news today out of there's a fourth one on the scene, and we don't know yet whether they were applied for emergency use, but there's a fourth one on the scene that has extensive trials, and they're still have trials underway in the U.S., but it showed 96% effective rate against the current strain, and 86 or 82% effective rate, 86 I believe, against the UK variant.
Yeah.
Only 49% against the South African variant, but still great news for it. And then 100% against any severe cases of any variant.
Well, that's what you want.
Yeah.
Is if we can go from virus and death to covering asymptomatic, cutting hospital stays, then you are actually making a dent in the curve.
I agree.
Yeah.
I think I definitely agree. So we got a couple of family in the house today, and so chime in, guys. I want to know your viewpoint on that 1.9 trillion. I believe he signed it today.
He signed it yesterday.
Oh, he signed it yesterday. Okay, and
they
so
had a ceremony today because they enrolled a bill on yesterday in record speed. I mean, because the goal again, this is a stimulus package. Now, you're going to hear quite a bit about deficit spending and debt.
Yeah.
But remember, the Republicans not so long ago did 1.9 trillion in tax cuts.
Yes, they did.
To the rich and famous.
Yes, they did. Yes, they did. Yes, they did.
So
and let me just put on you that was for people that made in excess of $350,000.
That's right.
So let's just call it what it is. That's top 1%.
Yeah. I mean, and this bill targets middle class to lower class, and that's where your consumers are, and that's where your biggest need is. It's going to help people pay rent, keep the lights on, get groceries, and maybe even do a little shopping.
You know, there's some. I'm gonna play the devil's advocate on this for a second. So some would say that they're not in favor of a direct stimulus, particularly when people are going to go out and buy things that are not needs. Go buy purses, go buy. I mean, we know where that targeted language is targeted at. But I'm don't shoot the messenger. That they're going to go and buy non-essential items, non-items of need or they're considered an asset to help them long term. So why should we give them funds to go and do that? Now, before I let you jump in, I'm wise enough to know that if you just listen to that logic, it sounds flawed already. Because in order for them to go and spend that money, they've got to spend it in the economy.
That's right.
Which is bolstering some jobs, is bolstering economic activity. So they don't just spend it in Mars, even though we got a robot on Mars right now. We're not in the Mars economy right now.
No. And then what's funny about that is right now the economy has been closed, next to shuttered.
Yeah.
So if somebody buys a purse, I'm not advocating for them to do that, but that's money that goes into the economy.
That is.
So
let's take a look at the comments. This is the first time Charles and I have been live together where he can see the comments come in as I can.
Neely.
We got Neely in the house.
Overtime, my man. Overtime.
Overtime. I'm hurt right now.
Yeah.
For all my J-State fans, that overtime. Oh, that was a tough one.
Yeah, that was a tough one.
And then we got Mr. Burden in the house.
Jeremiah
Bruton in the house. Sorry. Miss Gray is that? Yeah. All right. Pitman is in the house.
I see Petra Jenkins is in the house.
Petra is in the house. So there we go.
Yeah.
All right. So come on in, join the conversation. But back to it, Charles. You were speaking about the economy and the fact that the stimulus is money spent in the economy, which is in fact going to stimulate the economy.
Yeah.
Particularly in sectors when you look at this been pretty much closed.
Yeah, and then listen, we're talking about stimulus. So this is not infrastructure spending. This is not tax cuts. Okay, so here's the thing. You may even hear some Republicans say that this is a tax cut for the middle class. Okay, bring it on.
Right.
That's fine.
Because when is the last time the middle class has had a tax cut?
Exactly. I mean,
It's
the bottom line is you could not go too big, but you could go too small.
Yes.
And not stimulate the economy to where it comes roaring back. And that was Joe Biden's goal. And I think he learned a lot from President Obama in how to actually advocate for his position, win his position, and get a new paradigm on bipartisanship. Because if you notice, no Republican on either side in the House or the Senate voted for this.
No, not one.
Yet he has 75% approval for this bill in the country.
Right.
So that's bipartisan.
Right.
It's all about setting the lens the way you need it to capture the right shot.
Yeah, I think that the very nature of what Republicans like to say, we're conservatives, and that's fine. I don't have a problem. I'm conservative most of the time in some of my views, not all of them. Not by their means of being conservative, but by my own. But here's the thing. I looked at the vote. I wanted to see what the Liz Cheney's of the world and what all I'm doing. So for now, one Republican to vote and support a bill that's going to put money directly into the pockets of your constituents that have a 75% approval in favor of this, to me, that's like looking at your constituents and saying you really don't matter that much. I didn't expect, don't get me wrong, I didn't expect 20, I didn't expect 50, but I did expect at least one or two. And so that was interesting.
You shouldn't be surprised at this point. From 2008 present, they have been an obstructionist party. They want power for the sake of power.
There you go. Now you want to use the big $5 words, and I told you it's Dollar Friday, but you want to use $5 words. So now
for $1,
so you got to break it down.
For $1, they want to block Joe Biden's agenda.
All right.
They don't have the votes to do it. So they figure if they go up there and talk about Dr. Seuss and a whole bunch of other stuff, that's helping. I think it's actually hurting them this time around. When do tax cuts take effect? What tax cuts, Antonio? I'm just saying for argument's sake, some people may say that this was a tax cut for the middle class. It actually is actually the opposite, but you may hear some Republicans use that language because they know they just spent $1.9 trillion on tax cuts for the rich.
Look, in the words of accounting, and my wife would second this, it really, all we're doing is debits and credits. You spent 1.9. Yeah. So here's the fact. You gave 1.9 trillion, and your choice was to give it to the wealthiest people in America, the wealthiest 1%. This administration took 1.9 trillion, and their decision was to give it to the middle class, which is the majority of America.
Yeah, but here, but look though, check this out. The 1.9 that they did, is actually more detrimental than this one.
Yes, it is, and I'm gonna tell you why.
Yeah.
If you look when we studied inequality for all, and we looked at the wealth gap, here is why. And I'm gonna look at you to say this, but here is why the 1.9 trillion they did to the top 1% was more detrimental. When you give money or tax breaks to the wealthy, they're not spending that money in the economy. That money is going in investments, and they're making money off that money because they're not in the everyday participatory part of the economy. And to be honest with you, most people in the top 1% get more given to them than they actually have to spend. And so when you look at the middle class of what they give, that's nearly all of that is gonna go into the economy, which is gonna in turn reboot. So one is taking it out of the economy,
and one is putting it in. Yeah, and to answer Antonio's question, when does this start to affect the middle class? Starting this weekend, the direct stimulus checks will go out. Starting right after that, they'll start to roll out of the child tax credits.
Let's talk about the child tax credits, man, because that's a new term for me.
Yeah.
Talk about that for a second. What does that mean? Who does that affect? What is it?
The goal there was a Harvard study that said if you had a child income tax credit, it could cut childhood poverty in half by 50%. And so that was his goal right there, is to attack something in the economy and also provide money for families on top of the $1,400. Because you had some people advocate for monthly payments until the pandemic is over.
Which is what some countries have done.
Yeah, some countries
The UK has done that. I know a couple others. So yeah.
But this is a way to work it into the tax scheme and give you credit that will help you rear your child. That's all that's happening.
Let's go and see what question we got. So Antonio says, let me put this up here. He says, so how does this affect the middle class, and when does it affect?
Well, that's what I was saying to him. It'll start affecting right away, because you have from lower to middle class individuals receiving $1,400 direct stimulus checks, and if you have more than one child, it'll be $1,400 per child.
So hopefully that cleared it up for you, Antonio. So essentially, this is going into effect right away.
Yeah, it's going.
You're going to start seeing this right away, and they said that some people will start receiving the $1,400 payments as soon as literally it could be you could wake up tomorrow and it's in your bank account.
That's right.
So that's fast.
Yeah.
Because remember, the bill was signed on Thursday, and somebody gonna see money by Saturday. Heck, your direct deposit don't even hit that fast.
Hey.
Just saying.
They have the ability to get the money out there, and they're using it. And so basically what Joe Biden has decided is he's going to take a whole of government approach, not just on the vaccination and the pandemic, but on the economy as well. Because right now we're in the negative, right? And he's trying to get growth so that he can get the American economy humming.
And listen, let me tell you something. As a business owner, nobody wants to see it hum more than me right now.
That's right. That's right.
I've been crying for a whole year.
That's right.
So the reality of it is, because we work for the people.
Yeah.
We work for the common people.
That's right.
And so if the economy is hurting, they're hurting, which means we're hurting. It's just a recycled thing. And when I say we're hurting, I mean anybody in business.
Yeah,
to some degree.
Because not only has it affected households, it's affected different business sectors.
Yeah.
Now there are certain business sectors that are having all-time years.
Right.
But that's the exception, not the rule.
Yeah, and we know that grocery industry, construction.
Yeah.
Even the home improvement, appliances, that type of thing. Those are direct side effects of the situation. Even the streaming industry, because people are home. Yeah, ban a year. But as everything comes back online, all those industries are settled back to their norms to some degree. But they've had banner years. And if you look at any chaotic moment in the economy and time, there's always going to be some offsets that are going to benefit from the downturn of the economy.
That's right.
You have a tornado, Home Depot, Lowe's going to be doing well.
Yeah, I mean, you have sectors that'll be resilient just because of what happened, the facts on the ground.
Right.
And the fact is, people have been sitting at home looking at their kitchens, and now they're remodeling them.
Right.
Because they don't like the way they look. They haven't had a chance to slow down and look at them.
Right.
So that the construction business and the home remodeling business is booming.
Yeah. Are you looking like, man, I didn't know that was messed up. Like, I got to get that fixed, right? You just hadn't had time to do it. Or, like, man, my TV went out because I'm watching it more. And all of a sudden I go turn on the TV that I hadn't turned on in 8 months and don't come on. Yeah. So all those things are happening because people are home. People are upgrading their internet. So those particular industries have been doing well. Why? Because you thought you had good internet, but that was based on one person being at home, everybody else being outside the home, either at school or work during the day. And then when everybody's home and everybody's on it, you're like, whoa, something happened. So
do we have any questions? It's mighty quiet today. Everybody must be having a slight hangover from that overtime game between Jackson State and Texas Southern.
I know I am. So we're gonna hope the ladies can go ahead and pull it on out and get to the final.
Yeah,
that was a tough one. So also, I don't know if you heard the news, and definitely put your questions in. We'll get to your questions. Want your questions on these subjects. The latest news is Target has jumped in the game now to help distribute vaccines, because Target now has CVS pharmacies in their stores in 17 states, and that's going to be expanding. And just, I think this week or last week, they started giving out the vaccinations as well, and they will increase sites as soon as the supply increases.
Well, the supply will be increasing over the next 2 to 3 weeks.
Right.
And so what you'll see is mega sites in big cities, and then they'll go down to mobile sites, and then they'll go down to pharmacy will be going all the time. And, you know, with Joe Biden taking an aggressive approach on it and making sure the numbers are up, you can do that. You can look at every way to get mass dissemination of the vaccine.
Yeah, and guess what else they're doing? Even at my church in Dallas this weekend, a lot of the mega churches are getting involved now.
Yeah.
And they're doing drive-through.
Oh, yeah.
And they got it now where you don't even have to register. You don't have to have an appointment. You show up between this time and time, no question asked, they're getting this vaccine done.
Yeah, you got to get them in the arms. Because what he has done is actually listen to the professionals, the scientists, that are saying that these variants are coming and could set us back astronomically.
Right.
And so the best thing you can do to fight against a variant is get ahead of it. Get ahead of it. Because if you don't, we end up in the same situation for another year.
Yeah, and we know that's no good. So got a question here. Let me from Deontay Graham. Let's put this up here. Isn't a purpose of the stimulus aspect of the bill to aid those who were impacted in a way to where they lost their steady flow of income? So why would them using the stimulus on getting the Wi-Fi fixed or their television fixed be considered non-essential?
I'm not sure I understand what you're saying, Mr. Graham. But if we just isolate on the Wi-Fi fix, the television fix, what we're talking about is people. There are people throughout this pandemic who have been able to stack money in the bank. They never lost their job. They just moved to remote status. So the money that they spend on transportation, meals, things of that nature, dry cleaning, well, they would want to work in jogging pants. So that money began to pile up over a whole year, and so they're using that money to expand services or to make enhancements on their homes. That's a whole different set of people that we're talking about there.
And I think we got another industry that hasn't boomed yet that's about to really boom as we get back into the fall, and I think that's going to be the travel industry.
Yeah, but I'm speaking more specifically to Mr. Graham.
Yeah.
Because what Mr. Graham is he's addressing two different things. Stimulus is to aid those who were impacted, and that's why you have some caps on it, and that's why it opens itself up for the argument of targeting who gets the stimulus check. Because you don't want people just out there spending it who don't need it. You want to get it into as many hands of the people that need it as possible.
Right.
So I think that's two different pockets, Mr. Graham. One is people who have money who were not really affected by the pandemic in a financial way. Everybody was affected in some way, but some were not affected financially, and some gained during that time at home. And so they're able to do remodels. They're able to put money in their savings account. They're able to upgrade things around their home. We're talking about that group, and we're also talking about the lower to middle who need that direct injection of money.
Yeah, no doubt. And I think that's where we are. So that's a great point. Good question, though. Good question.
Yeah.
So what else, Charles? You know, we've talked about the fact that the more vaccines are coming online, more places you can go to get them. We're making it easy to actually find out where they are. And now that's only going to be increased with the resources that are being deployed so they can have more people to help get the shots in the arms. And then the push for teachers. We always talk about wanting to get the kids back in school, but we can't get the kids back in school until we get the teachers safe.
Well, now you have enough resources that you can get teachers, staff, administrators all in the line to get the vaccine. And so I think it's a win-win all around.
Yeah, not only get the vaccination, have the time to do his full work and be ready for when school starts.
Yeah.
Well ready. And so I'm excited about that in all kind of ways. So that's going to be really, really interesting. So switching gears a little bit. So we noticed this week also, still staying in the political realm of things. So not only did we have no Republican in the House or Senate support this bill with their vote. Now some of their actions afterwards might
they're going to try to take political credit.
Right. But but they didn't. They're not on the record as voting for it.
No.
They voted opposed. This was the case. I want to talk about. We were able to get this passed because of what Georgia did, and the rest of the states did come in November, and then in the runoffs in January. We had to use that 50-50 plus 51 vice president to break the tie of vote. So this is a perfect example that comes back and illustrate what we talked about back from November to January during that runoff push, why it was so important and why every vote counts.
Right. I mean, money in the bank. What more can you say? If you don't vote, you don't get to experience help from your government, because Republicans are saying the quiet things out loud at this point. They're saying that some people shouldn't be allowed to vote.
Yeah.
And so not only do you have to vote in presidential years and off elections, you've got to stay engaged right now, because you have hundreds of bills put on the table for voter suppression, because they don't want you voting like you did in Georgia.
No, they don't want that to happen.
Right.
Well, speaking of that, let's switch gears a little bit and let's take a deeper dive just into politics dealing with the Republican Party. So it came out this week. Former President Trump has now encouraged all of his base and all of his PAC and with all of his influence, people to not support the Republican Party at all financially,
yes,
but to support his PAC.
Yeah, he wants them to give him the money. Yeah.
So what are your thoughts?
Let him fight it out. I mean, on one hand, he is a prolific fundraiser.
That he is.
On the other hand, he's got a losing argument because he's trying to stop them from using his likeness. He can't do that. He's a public figure. So they can use it. He can say stop it. So let's see what cookie crumbles.
But I think it's smart of him and what he's doing from a strategy, because he said, okay, if I can't stop you from using my likeness, then I'm gonna use my likeness, because you can't use my likeness better than me. So I'm gonna put myself.
But he's not. He's using it for a different reason. He's got criminal charges.
Well, we ain't talking about the reason he used it.
Yeah,
I'm just saying. I think from a strategic standpoint, I got to give him credit. It's a smart move.
But you almost make it sound like he's got goodwill.
I ain't saying he had no goodwill. He didn't have any goodwill in his body.
No.
But so let's be clear on that. I'm just talking about if we were playing chess, I had to give him props on the move. It's a good move. Now, there's no good intent. Let's not get mistaken. There's no good intent or goodwill when it comes to the former president. But I think it's the only way that he can counteract what they're doing is to, well, if y'all gonna piggyback off my likeness, then I'm gonna step out there.
But what I'm telling you is, he doesn't care if they piggyback. He's raising money for legal fees.
Well, he's gonna need those.
Yeah,
he's gonna need that money
for legal fees. Plus, his properties are devalued. They're not making money at this point. PGA has pulled out. All corporate sponsorship is pulling out.
Yep.
And then he's got Tish James, the Honorable Tish James from New York, the Attorney General, who's taking an interest in him. He's got the Honorable Cy Vance that's taking an interest in him. And now he's got the District Attorney from Fulton County, who is going full steam ahead, putting together an all-star team to prosecute him.
Yes.
So he needs money.
well, okay. So let's talk about that. So that's one politician that needs money is in trouble. But let's talk about what's going on up in Albany with the Honorable Andrew Cuomo, Governor Cuomo. So here's my thing. So not only him, Gavin Newsom in California, there's a couple key Democrat pockets that are being attacked right now, and we knew it was coming.
Yeah, but some is politics and some is something else. So why don't we let that play out?
Well, you know what I do? I get my popcorn.
Yeah, and watch.
And enjoy the show.
Yeah, and watch. Yeah.
There's a lot of shows on right now.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, I'm hesitant to wade into that because I want to see what happens, because especially in New York, Cuomo is under investigation by Tish James.
Yeah.
And hey,
listen, Tish James don't care. She if you and you know, and that's the way it should be. I mean, the reality is this: I'm gonna get some popcorn. Yeah. I'm gonna enjoy this show.
Yeah, and what?
And I'm gonna give it a thumb up if it's a good movie. Because the reality is, right now, I haven't seen as much political activity that was frontline news as I'm saying right now. Like it's just interesting, right? It's just so if you ever, I mean, it's always been there, but not front and center like it is right now.
Well, part of that is personality politics. You take away the D and the R behind the names.
Mm-hmm.
There are different styles of politicking.
True.
I tell you all the time, all politics is local. This is a local issue that's kind of spiraling into the public view because Cuomo has had total control in New York for quite some time. With that control, he's used the bullying, aggressive style of politicking. Well, when you find yourself in this position, if you bully people, if you've been aggressive with people, well, it comes back to get you.
What they say, you live by the sword,
you die by it. Yeah, so we'll see what happens, but I think that's part of the problem.
Man, we got to stop and shout out a dear friend, Sarita. Thanks for joining.
Hello, Sarita. How you doing?
Sending you nothing but love.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that, it's interesting. I knew it was interesting when I started hearing more chatter from the younger generation than I've ever heard before that are following all these different stories. Which that's when you know, okay, this stuff has some real entertainment value, if nothing else. Yeah, because people are definitely watching it.
Yeah, but then too, I mean, he has real accusers who have
he does.
Real grievances, and they need to be heard.
They need to be heard. That's the process. Everybody needs to be heard.
Yeah. So
then we'll let the chips fall where they may, and there it is.
Yeah. Let's see what happens. One thing that I'm watching, and I'm watching this really closely, is how does this first big bill by Biden affect the 22 midterm? Because traditionally, the incumbent president's party loses seats.
Yep.
To me, if he does what he's supposed to do and gets everybody back out in the world, it's going to be hard to lose seats.
So, good point. Now, I think, and we're going to transition because, guys, we're forward ahead of 2022. Because in case you haven't been watching, the Republican Party is already in 2022 and working. And this is what you alluded to months ago, that we have to start working for. In fact, the day after we won, so November 5th, I talked to you that morning, and your response was, we got to start working on 2022.
That's right.
And so we have to right now, because if you look at what happened when President Obama won in 2008, and you look at what happened in 2010.
Yes.
And so therefore, as a result, the biggest bill that he got pushed through was the Affordable Health Care Act, and then nothing after that because we lost seats.
Yeah, we lost seats. And so this is a cautionary tale that Joe is about to go on a victory lap. And he should. Obama didn't, he paid for it.
Right. And that's what he said he learned from President Obama.
Yeah.
He said he learned that. He said, you've got to tell the people what you've done and show the people what you've done.
Yeah.
You've got to do it. Otherwise, they don't know. You know, and I think to a large degree, that's why we had so much really misunderstanding about the Affordable Health Care Act and Obamacare and all that confusion, because there was never a victory lap. There was never a clear indication coming, and then it got muddied. It got muddy in the water.
I'll go off in the weeds with you just a little bit on this,
okay?
Because this is something I was thinking about the other day. It's ironic that when Obama decided he was going to tackle healthcare,
okay,
it was largely popular. It wasn't until the summer before they voted on it that something happened. You had the rise of the Tea Party. And you had the rise of all these people who were anti-Obama. So anything he touched became toxic.
Right.
So that's what flipped it. In this instance, President Biden is operating from a huge surplus of goodwill.
Yeah.
And I think coming off of a dishonest president to an honest president, he's just calling balls and strikes and telling people the truth.
Right.
And people can appreciate that because it's been a fall for 5 years.
Yeah. And I think that's the reality of it. You said all the time, tell me the truth. I mean, you can accept it or not, but you can't accuse me of not telling you.
That's right.
And that's what he's doing. And that's what he said. He said, we're going to follow the signs. I'm going to be fully transparent with you. I'm going to tell you when it's bad, and I'm going to tell you when it's good.
Yeah.
And the reality of it is, the first thing he said, I remember when he took office, he said, look, The experts are telling us, the science is telling us it's going to get worse before it gets better.
Yeah, you can appreciate that.
I didn't want to hear it.
Yeah.
But it was the truth. And guess what? It did get worse.
Yeah, it's the truth.
We have lost over 500,000 people to the coronavirus and counting.
Yeah, 533 plus.
So when he took office, we were at 400,000. He said it's going to get worse before it gets better, unfortunately.
Well, I think he's done in 80 days. He's done quite a bit.
Yeah, and I think right now, and I forget the number of how many vaccines have been out right now. I know we're on pace to hit his number of 100 million in 100 days, to exceed it, rather.
Yeah, he's going to exceed that by a lot.
By a lot, yeah, by a lot. So let's see if we got any questions out here. So, hey, Monique, how are you? Hey, Mom. So what are your thoughts, family, on any of the issues we talked about, particularly as we look at 2022? My question to you is, what are you doing now to get more people out to vote, particularly in the midterms, because it won't be in a presidential election? And here's why I say that. Even in a state like Texas that had record turnouts, and just about every state had record turnouts this year, only 6 out of 10 registered voters actually voted. Now, here's why that's problematic for me. That's saying that even though they've gone through the trouble of getting registered, only 6 out of every 10 actually went and cast their vote. So we've got to get that number up, and we've got to get it up to where it's 8 or 9 of 10. So just want to know your thoughts, family, and what things are you going to do in your sphere of influence to get people out to vote that perhaps didn't vote last time that wanted to vote in a registered vote. So just put that in the comments. Let us know what you're going to do, what action you're going to take, because it's going to require all of us taking some type of action.
Well, we need federal laws in place to cover elections, because left to their own devices, the Republicans in the state houses are trying to systematically exclude Black and brown voters.
Well, you said that twice now, so how can they possibly do that? Identify some ways to the younger audience, how they've done that, and how could they possibly do that today?
Well, they're doing it through voter suppression. So here's a good example.
There you go. You keep using them $5 words. It's Dollar Friday. So I know what voter suppression means. A lot of people know, but maybe somebody don't know. So what does that look like? Voter suppression
means that they don't want you to vote, and they're going to take whatever action they need to keep you from voting.
Got it.
Which looks like if Black churches are doing Sunday souls to the polls, they're trying to cut that out. If they have drop boxes, they're trying to cut those out. If they have unlimited absentee voting, they're trying to cut that out. If they have mail outs without you requesting, they're trying to cut that out. Everything that could be advantageous, they're trying to cut it out.
Now you're talking.
Yeah.
Now you're talking.
Yeah.
So the reality of it is, if you look back, particularly at the last election, the presidential election, even the runoffs in Georgia, where was most of the work done? It was in early voting, because you had those extended periods of early voting where you could go in and vote early, and those votes get counted. And that disproportionately went Democratic. And so if I'm trying to suppress it, I'm attacking that. I'm attacking that because that favors you, and that favors you in a mighty way.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I mean, and they don't face it, they don't have the numbers. And so when you don't have the numbers, you got to try to figure a way to get the other side back.
Yeah, you know what they say, when you don't have the numbers, you got to do that new math.
That's right. So that's what they're doing, new math. But our people need to be locked in on what Congress does next with H.R. 1 and the John Lewis Voting Rights Act.
Yeah. Because
that will restore the Voting Rights Act that was stripped out by the Supreme Court.
Yeah.
And so that will give you progressive, H.R. 1 will give you progressive frameworks for federalizing parts of it.
Let's talk about how do we get to, and sorry for cutting you off, how do we get to a point where the Voting Rights Act is getting removed by the Supreme Court? How does that even happen?
Because the Supreme Court has never been, you got to think about these institutions, they're systematic racism. I mean, just call it what it is. And so they didn't like the idea of preclearance to the states, because they said states' rights trump federalism. You should be able to make your own decisions about what happens in your state. Well, the reason why you had the Voting Rights Act is because the states with the worst records, the Georgias, the Mississippis, the Alabamas, the Tennessee, the Texas, what they did was they were so heinous in suppressing the vote that there needed to be laws to rein them in, to have pre-clearance. Pre-clearance is just a way of saying, before you change something, let me see it. And so the Department of Justice would approve it or not. They didn't like that. They like to do things under the cover of darkness. So the Supreme Court strips it out, and here we go again with all this voter suppression.
So basically, they did not want to watch out.
No, they didn't. Because they lose when all the lights are on. You know, they can't creep around and do shady stuff.
You know, they say the most shady creatures like to do their damage at night.
That's right.
It's going quiet out there, guys. I know you got some comments. Have you already started?
Daylight saving time is coming up, so they may be gone fishing.
Who knows? Maybe already calculating that stimulus check. Somebody might have already had it already. It might have hit that. Might have just maybe hit their account. It is nice. It's been 16 months, I think, since you and I was December 2019, since we've been face to face, man. I gotta admit, man, I miss it.
Well, here we are.
But we've gotten here safely and healthy, and we did the right thing. We stayed away. And I think a lot of people have done that, but we're now turning the corner. We're getting to the point where we can get vaccinated. They're ready. They're available. We are moving in the right direction. Jackson State is winning again. So a lot of things are happening in good ways. But more importantly, I think when we look at the totals, the daily death totals are falling dramatically. The daily new cases are falling dramatically. So the trends are trending in the right direction. We're not there yet.
No, we're not there.
Let me just be clear. We're not there yet, so we still need to be diligent. We still need to hang on for a little while longer. But if we hang out for a little while longer, as the good old Baptist preachers would say, you know how they always,
they are
a sermon. They always close it. That was the first day.
Oh yeah. Well, joy comes in the morning. So
that's right.
Here's the thing. We have to remain vigilant because some of us stay in Republican states, Mississippi, Texas. I'm looking at you.
Yeah.
And 17 other states that have rolled back COVID restrictions.
Yeah. No masks.
And
mask
so,
mandates, everything open.
Right. And that could trigger a flashpoint.
It could.
So we have to remain vigilant inside of those states and do what we're supposed to do. Same thing we've been saying from day one. I know what I've been saying.
Yeah.
Wear your mask, wash your hands, stay away.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I'm curious though. All right. Before we move on, how did you end up slipping Jackson State winning into?
Well, I just had to do that, because it's been a long time coming, and it just felt good. So I just had to slip it in there. It's funny, man. I just slip it into everything these days.
I see. Bird has a question.
Let's see what Bird has here. Take that one, Charles.
Brother Bird says since Wicker, Hyde, Smith, and Palazzo voted against everything in the stimulus, how can we get their constituents to know they are voting against their best interests?
Ooh.
That's a loaded question, Brother Bird, because their constituents are going to cash those checks, and they know where they came from. They know they came from Biden, but they're also going to be willing to listen to the misinformation from Wicker to say, good job on the restaurant bill. They hear what they want to hear. But that's one of the reasons and one of the lessons that Biden is operating off of, that he's taking this victory lap, that he's going to get out there and sing the praises of what he's been able to accomplish so that people will know and they can't just ignore it.
Well, and let me stop there because, a lot of people, when I first heard that, I said, why would you take a victory lap? But this was a lesson he said, and I learned this from President Obama, and they still talk all the time. He said, because my first reaction was, I'd be humble. I don't really want to get out there. That's the worst thing you can do.
No,
it's the worst thing you can do. You have to get out there because you have good people that need to hear it, and if they don't hear from you, they're going to hear another narrative from somewhere else. And so you've got to take that victory lap. There's a reason why when you're in the Olympics and they win a race, they don't stop right there. They take that victory lap. It's important.
You have to. In politics, you have to state it. You have to do it and then state it.
Absolutely.
And then state it again. And yes, Tony, he did slide that right on in.
I did.
I'm not sure how that fits, but he did it.
Well, blue and white and red, blue and white and a little slice of red fit with everything.
Yeah, but
but anyway, here's the thing. I'm glad he's taking a victory lap. I think here's where the experience of being in presidential administration before can only help.
Oh yeah.
Right? Because any of us that get a chance to go back and do something that we've done before are going to do it better the second time.
You should.
You're supposed to anyway.
You should.
If you pay attention to anything you did the first time, you should be making adjustments when you do it the second time.
You
should. Right? So, good point on that one. So, good question. That's a deep question from Brother Bird there. That's a good point. And it's going to be interesting to see the narrative that Wicker and Smith and Palazzo, is it Palazzo or Palooza? Palazzo, okay. Mm-hmm. That they decide to take. So I'm interested to see what angle they try to take.
Bro, politics is brutal. If you don't recall, I know a lot of people probably I'm geeky when it comes to this, but I remember distinctly Republicans going up there and voting against Barack Obama and then showing up at the ribbon cutting when he did the stimulus in 0809.
It's true.
They'll show up at the ribbon cutting like, hey, we did it.
I do remember that. And I also remember when they said, let the car industry fail.
Right.
And let the banks fail. But then they showed up applauding when they said they saved the banks and they saved the car industry. Yeah.
It's brutal. If you don't tell your story, they'll tell it for you.
Revisionist history, man.
They'll tell it for you.
History is in the present who's revising it. So if I'm the only one talking, guess what you're going to hear? You're going to hear my version.
Yeah, I want to add this too, because this is something that I've been watching that's going on.
Okay.
COVID being weaponized to take away from Biden's agenda. Because now that he has turned the corner and put all the pieces together, that's why they started releasing the hounds on letting all these restrictions go.
Tell me more.
Basically, using the bullet pulpit at the state level to do stuff that's contrarian or against his agenda. He's telling people to mask up, be safe, we almost there. They're saying, well, let the businesses go. If we almost there, let the businesses go. So they make it a false argument.
Right.
In other words, they're trying to make it out that Biden is trying to block business when he's not.
Yeah, I've heard that argument before. In fact, I heard Ted Cruz saying that.
Oh yeah,
Texas,
because they're grasping their straws. And then the other thing is, like in Mississippi, they're trying to divert your attention from the stimulus to totally unnecessary stuff. Like, why are we focused on trans athletes right now? Unbelievable. When you could be, if you really wanted to focus on a local issue that needed focus, get the water in Jackson working.
Right.
Instead, you worried about trans athletes.
So, I'm here in Jackson. Are you telling me the water in Jackson still not working?
Not completely.
That's tough, man. You know, it's tough. And look, I've seen it firsthand. And here's the reality: when you check into a hotel and they give you bottled water to brush your teeth,
then you already know.
You already know.
Yeah.
You already know you're not back where you need to be.
No.
So I get that.
Any questions, people? We're coming down to the wire.
Down to the wire. The final 10 minutes.
Oh, Leslie.
Yeah.
I don't mean to cut you off.
Go for it.
But Sunday.
Yes.
Jackson State.
Oh.
Mississippi Valley State.
Oh. Yes. At the vet.
Ooh. 2 p.m.
And guess what?
2 p.m.
2
in the
p.m.
afternoon.
And it's on ESPN.
2. Yeah.
Oh, and guess what?
What?
Guess how many people they're going to line in the stadium this time? 22,000.
All right.
So you really don't have any excuse for not watching a good game. Now, as a former athlete, and I know Charles is always going to take the safe play on this. I'm gonna be a players.
Don't speak for
fan.
me.
So, but here's
I like know what you were about to say.
I like the attitude and swagger of one Mr. Daniel Baldwin. The receiver at Jackson State had a 62-yard TD reception last week. And he was asked about the game. He said, look, it really don't matter. To me, in my opinion, we're going to beat them no matter where we play. I like that swagger because here's why I say that. Coming from an athlete, if you don't go into a game feeling like you're going to beat them because you're going to do the work, you're going to confident, you play differently. You play differently when you got that swagger about yourself because you expect to win. And champions expect to win. Mm-hmm. You can't win if you don't expect to win. You go up in the top, man. I sure hope we get a break. Hope we get a fumble or two. No, we're gonna create a fumble or two. We're gonna make our breaks. That's what champions do. So I love the swagger. I love the tone. I love the conversation coming from the players because I think that's contagious. It gives you a swagger, and you want to set that tone on the first whistle. You want to let the other person know on the other side. You messed up today, brother.
Well,
you messed up today.
I will say one thing today. Ask Grandma.
Is that? I know. Okay.
It's the former athlete from 1978.
Okay, Antonio.
Yeah.
Little short guy. Well, if I was from 1970, you would not from 1962. No. In fact, you didn't even have you might have been in 1940s. You didn't even have a face, man.
Wow.
But I like the swagger. And I like the fact that in a time where Jackson truly has had to be resilient, there's no way we should be having the water issues we have in the capital city. But when a time when Jackson has had to be truly resilient, it certainly is a breath of fresh air because I always said I think Jackson is better when Jackson State wins. I've always felt that. Now, you may disagree, but that's just how I feel. I felt the air in Jackson is better when Jackson State wins to me. I breathe easier. That's just me.
Listen,
I'm just saying.
I don't have a problem with what you're saying, but you must remember that we haven't lost all that much. So,
well, we lost enough for what we're accustomed to.
No, but we're not talking about. Well, I'm just talking about on a general standard. If you put our program next to other programs, we have one of the most storied programs in the history of college football.
Well, who program you putting it next to, man? It's only a couple of people you can put our program next to. You really can't put us next. See, I'm not gonna start calling people out, but I will.
There's no need to call people out. We were the standard. We are the standard again. There you go. So the air is out. My point is the air has always been good in Jackson. That's why they hated us so much.
So look, I had the opportunity to walk on campus yesterday.
Okay.
And as I was walking on campus yesterday, I ran into a student. And he was masked up, doing all the right things. I was masked up, and I just asked him to take a picture of me. And he did so. And then he told me, I asked him what his major was. And he told me it was music education. And he went on to tell me he was a member of the Boom. So you know what my next question is? What you play, right? He's in your former section.
Source of Power.
SOP.
Yeah. Okay.
And I just said I could see the gleam in the eye. I said, man, you look like you're excited about something. He said, man, I can't wait. Yeah, I can't wait.
Oh, I mean, it's gonna be big. It's gonna be big for everybody. I will tell you that they have been practicing pretty hard. I've heard good things.
Yeah, and they were able to pull the merge off. I heard.
The merge is on YouTube. Yeah. It's on YouTube, and it's very good, very tastefully done.
So,
for those of you who don't know, Jackson State does an annual merge between the Crabs, which are freshmen, and the upperclassmen. And Crabs had their band, upperclassmen had their band, and then they merged together to become the Boom.
There it is.
That was not 82. SOP 90. Now my lungs are not
Look,
dusty.
You see.
Oh,
I always talking.
He's starting stuff. Source of power.
You know what? It's a Napoleon complex.
No, I'm not gonna go there with you.
I'm gonna go there. He know I go there.
Mr. Pittman is a good man.
He is a good man.
Yeah,
he's a good man, but he's a short man.
No,
he's a good man, but he's a short man, and I'm gonna tell it. So he's a short man from 1943.
So I think what we should do is we should probably have Antonio on the show one day, because I think he's getting ready to do some big stuff as we start to come out of the pandemic. He's getting ready to do some big stuff with our BPG, our nonprofit,
our official charity,
with mentoring the kids and getting them together. Maybe we need to have a little fundraiser on behalf of that.
I think we absolutely do. And look, we give Mr. Pittman a lot of trash talk, and he trash talks to us, but I got to tell you, he's got to be the hardest working person I've ever seen in youth development in terms of working with kids and commitment level. I mean, I'm talking about a person that gets in the car, drives 16 hours one way to be with kids at his expense.
That's right.
Because he gave him his word. And to do that month in, month out.
Oh, yeah.
Look, I give it up. I mean, that's my partner. That's my guy. But I can't match that. I mean, and so he inspires me to be a bigger person. So definitely we got to have him on the show. Definitely talk about BPG and what it does. And you can definitely check BPG out at bpgcares.org. Antonio has put that in the chat.
So everybody else can see.
Yeah, www.bpgcares.org. And I'm going to put that up as well so everybody can have it here shortly. Just give me just a second, and I will put that up. Ooh. So there it is. Yep. So definitely go check that out. Check the work of all the good people that work with BPG. And he doesn't do it alone. There's a whole team of people that commit to doing and giving back and helping pouring into young people. And we always are taking volunteers, and we need more hands and more help. So please, if you can't get down here to help us and join us, drop some money in the donation, make it recurring. Every little bit counts. And you can see all the work that they've done, even in the midst of the pandemic, to make sure people had food. The most vulnerable people had food, had resources, had educational resources, had computers, all the work they've done. And so I definitely want to give them kudos for that.
No doubt about it. Any questions before we get out of here? Pittman gonna cry like on Ocean's 11 when the casino owner started crying when they took all his money and gave it to Oprah's kids.
But no, man, he's a good dude, though. I mean, you know, this is the same guy that calls us up and says, I always tell people. Sometimes people ask me that say, I noticed you guys have been friends forever. Like, how do y'all keep it going? I'll be honest with you. We got a glue. Mr. Pittman is the glue. He keeps us all together. Keeps all the communication going, and we couldn't do it without him. So,
well, good things over the horizon coming out of the pandemic.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
I do have one wager over under that Sean will go to the game this Sunday.
Oh, well,
he may not tell anyone, but I met him.
I think he's going. Cause, let me see. I wonder if Blow is going.
Well, I don't think that would be a tailgating connection.
Oh, okay. But if you think he's going,
I think he's probably going to try to sneak in the stadium.
You think he's going to tell us?
Yeah, he'll tell you after the fact.
After the fact, okay.
Yeah. I can say that I'm not. I can safely tell you.
You're not going?
I'm not going.
I mean, I'll give you my ticket.
No. I have to. I have my own ticket.
Yeah, I know. You're not going?
No.
You're not going. You're going to watch it on TV?
ESPN 2. Martha said she might go.
What? My wife is trying to think we might go.
Oh, well, y'all go right ahead.
Hey, look, now let me tell you something. Where she go, I'm going. So don't get it twisted now. My wife said we going. I'm gonna button up, zip up, wrap up, mask up. I'm gonna go.
Well, I will say this in the remaining minute, because you always ask me to wrap up.
That's right.
Tigers will win big on Sunday.
I agree.
But here's what I want to see more than anything else. I did not see enough masks in the stadium.
Yes.
I did not see people with their masks. I saw people having a good time cheering, but I didn't see enough safety for my liking. So Tiger Nation, let's be safe.
Yeah.
Let's be safe.
I think that's worth saying again. Guys, we're not out of it yet. So until we can get to the point where everybody that wants to be vaccinated has gotten it, let's wear those masks. And I mean, I know that people are sitting in pods and things, but some of y'all look like y'all took the mask off as soon as y'all entered the gate. Y'all don't look like y'all had the mask on it for not even one quarter.
Yeah.
So not even one series. So I need you guys to put the mask on and keep them on, right? So that we can be safe and protect everybody around. We look, that stuff travels. So we need our players to be safe. We need them to keep playing. We don't need nobody on injured reserve. So let's do what we need to do and have a good time, enjoy it. And if my wife says we're going to the game, then I shall be at the game. If she says we're not, I'll be watching on ESPN too. But either way, I'm going to be watching from somewhere. That I can say. But I bet you this. I also bet you Neely will be at the game.
Yeah, man. Tiger Talk will be at the game.
I bet you Tiger Talk.
Doing pre-game and post-game.
Yeah, Bishop made, Charles might make the trip from Houston. I just got a feeling Tiger Talk will be at the game. Just saying. It's valid. And who knows? Jerry Rice may be at the game. So we seem to be getting a visit every week. Rex Ryan was here earlier this week talking to the players and kids. I mean, just as we head out, and I know we got to go. Just think about it who would think that a college kid from the SWAC conference, that you'd be sitting in practice and Rex Ryan coming to your team meeting talking to you. That just wasn't a thing before now. It just wasn't a thing. That's happening on the regular. So I think about the experience that all of these players are getting that so many people don't get, even at Power 5.
Yeah. Well.
And so I think this. I'm just very grateful to them. Hopefully they take advantage of it. But what an experience. And then my last shout out to the players. I need some interceptions this week. I need you to actually catch them. And I need some not only just to turn over, but convert them into touchdown. I need some points from the defense this week. I need points from a D this week.
I hope everyone see that Liz has just turned into a certified fanboy. We're trying to do a show.
Well, I just had to say that because that's just how I feel. I needed some points. But anyway, be safe. Mask up. Enjoy yourselves. And for all of you who can't make it to the game, it's on ESPN2, which means you don't even have to stream it this week. And if you're going to the game, be safe, mask up, and take care of yourselves and cheer the Tigers on. And then as far as vaccines, if you want to get them, you can check places like CVS, register with them, Target, Walgreens. So there's more than one way you can register to get the vaccines now. Make sure you register at all the channels, and whoever calls you first, that's where you go. So don't just sit and wait on one channel. Register for them all so you can get in as soon as possible. All right? Anything else, Charles?
Not at all, brother.
Well, then. He said nothing at all. I'll take that bet with you, and I do think Sean will go to the game. Until next week, and we'll be back at our respective places in different locations, but it sure has been nice being here with you this week, brother.
No doubt about it.
All right. Y'all take care.